Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday afternoon, September 24th, 2023. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And we made it through another week, and I hope everyone had as good a week as they could. It was kind of rough for me, but I'm here and, still functioning, and so this will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. We're going to look at methane and sea ice and climate related items from the week. And let's see, I don't have any stories to go over. We're not quite sure if we've reached minimum extent of ice in the Arctic yet. I pulled up this from last year. Last year they reached minimum extent in the Arctic on the 16th of September at 4.72 million square kilometers, or 1.82 million square miles. Oh, this is 2021. I've got the wrong year. Anyway, I pulled it up from my archives. So that anyway, yeah, if we're a lot lower than that. So if we go, I got the wrong year. September 2022. Because I will have posted it here. That's the easiest way to find anything for me, is just to go to the archives. And usually it's around between the 15th and the 20th. It's when the minimum happens. Lots of earthquakes. So here it was on the 20th last year. And there's the image. Let's see if we've got the post here. Here we go. Arctic sea ice reached minimum extent for 2022 reached minimum extent on September 18th of 2022 at 4.67 million square kilometers. So that's lower than the year before, and a couple of days later. And here's the picture of what it looked like at that point. We're lower than that now this year, and I think we probably reached minimum around the 20th. We'll just have to wait and see. So we're right at the end of our melting season. So there's that. And I've got the archives. I need to be working on archiving some more, but we've got sea ice and methane. I've got it all over there since I started the Subscribe Star page, so since early 2019. I've got daily reporting. So, and also, before I get started, I'd like to thank the supporter who sent me the very kind, generous donation this week. I really appreciate it, and I got your message, and yes, I am doing what you asked, and so thank you for the message too. I appreciate it very much, and appreciate the support too. So anyway, so here we are on Climate Reanalyzer for this week, or for today. Maximum temperatures around the globe. We've got colder air from Greenland up over the Arctic basin. We still have warm air around the edges. And we've got colder air on this west side of Canada and coming down in the U.S. We still have warm air over Texas and parts of Mexico. And South America, you've got more whites. See all the whites over Brazil and coming over Bolivia and other parts. Africa, whites in the north, and Congo and a little bit further south. Here, India and Western Australia, you've got whites. And the whites denote 40 degrees C or higher, or around 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly, and we've got a little bit of blues just north of Greenland, then brown over the rest of the area. So it's still warmer than normal here in the Arctic, and heavy browns from Eastern Europe, going across Russia, part of Russia. And see, we've got reddish browns here in northern Canada, and then coming down through the U.S., and then blues on the west side. And it's been pleasant here in the Reno area. We've been in the blue zone for the last couple of days, and it's been nice to have the heat subside. So here we've got, look at South America, Africa. Look at this big brown patch from western Russia all the way across, and then central Russia down. And Australia, you've got browns. And this Antarctic region, it has been high all week. At some points it was over 5°C higher than normal. But here we are today. Worldwide, we're up 1.11°C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 1.29°C. The Arctic is up 2.55°C. The Antarctic is up 3.89°C. So this has gone down, but it's still way up. Southern hemisphere is up 0.93°C, and the tropics are up 0.86°C. So everything's in the plus zone, and worldwide, see, we're over 1°C higher than normal. Northern hemisphere is really up. Arctic, Antarctic, and so, everything's up, and it looks like runaway warming now, and so we'll just have to see, how it manifests. We've already seen the effects of it manifesting in the last few years with all this extreme weather and the atmospheric rivers that are just humongous because the air is holding more water, and so the storms are bigger. The hurricanes are more intense. The snowstorms are worse. And last winter we had all this, the rain and snow that just kept pounding the west coast of the U.S. and coming over. There was just one right after another. And, snow in areas that they hadn't had snow before or in a very long time, like Los Angeles. It was just, we're in no man's land. We're in uncharted territory, and so we're just watching, and we need to be prayed up and ready spiritually for whatever happens more than anything, because you can only prep physically for so much, and you can't prep physically for every eventuality. But the main thing is to prep spiritually and get your prayer life in order and be used to making that connection with God and Jesus, and depending on them to guide you for what you need to do. And that's the best thing I know to do. And the big things are still coming, and in the Bible it talks about in the end times these same things, with all the calamities and earthquakes and famines and pestilences, and that there are going to be lots of changes in land masses, and with that comes a lot of death and populations where one land mass rises and another sinks, and we're going to be seeing stuff like that. And so that's why I said you need to be prayed up and ready spiritually for whatever happens. So here's precipitation and clouds, and we've got rain over northern Russia and coming up over the Kara Sea and the Yama Peninsula. Then it turns into snow and rain-snow mix here in the Kara Sea. And we've got snow over the Laptev Sea and here over North Greenland and the Baffin Bay. And this big rain area here coming up in the North Atlantic is the remains of Nigel that came up through the Atlantic, through the middle, and it's hitting Iceland and Ireland and the UK now. The last storm that we had in the US was Ophelia. It was a tropical storm just under hurricane strength that landed in North Carolina, and you can see it's moved north and is over like Pennsylvania mainly right now, Virginia, Pennsylvania region. And we've got a big storm coming in on the west coast of Canada and the Pacific Northwest in the US. Here's the flat view. Yeah. Here's the pieces of the jet stream. Once it broke up, it never got fixed, and it's just more and more bizarre with the looping and the brakes and upsetting all the weather systems. See, we've got parallel streams here. A southern one over the southern part of the U.S., and then here's this one over the upper part. And then southern hemisphere is all broken up too. Here's sea ice and snow cover. I will look more in detail at this. You can see the white on land where it's snowing up here in Russia and Alaska and so on. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is for yesterday, and the sun is going down in the North Pole as it's coming up in the South Pole, and so it's getting darker up here, but the sun's still up, and wherever it's been open water for a while, you can see it's still in the browns and reds. So it's going to take a while for all this water to cool down. It'll have to be in total darkness before it'll actually start cooling, and it'll take a while, a few weeks for it to really cool down. Here's red and brown in the Hudson Bay, and here's the hot spot in the North Atlantic just off the coast of Newfoundland. This is broken up a little bit, and we've got some colder than normal water here off the east coast, and this is from the aftermath of the hurricanes churning up the warm water and redistributing it. The warm water fueled them, and then it pulled up the colder water from deeper underneath to the surface. And you can see Gulf of Mexico is still hot. Also on the west side of Mexico and Central America, and the west side of the U.S. there. Here's the flat view, and see the Atlantic, it's mainly brown. Here's the Mediterranean, mainly brown. Black Sea. Caspian Sea is brown and blue. Here, let's get this view. Persian Gulf is brown. Red Sea is brown and blue. The Indian Ocean is mainly in the browns. And see, it's coming all the way down to the Antarctic sea ice there. And then the Pacific side, here's this heavy reading across the equatorial Pacific, and see our big red blob is spreading out from Japan once they started actually dumping the more radioactive water, announcing it and then dumping it. It was more than what was already coming out. So since that's happened, we've developed this big ugly red blob, red gaping sore here in the Pacific. So there's that. Now we'll go to methane, and we've got the NOAA methane data for yesterday, the 23rd. Met-Op-B satellite in the morning for 1,000 millibar level. The mean or average was 1,847 parts per billion. And in the afternoon, it was 1848. On the Met-Op-C in the morning, the mean was 1849. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1849. On the 487 millibar level, that's about halfway up in the atmosphere. Met-Op-B satellite in the morning, the mean was 1927. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1930. We had a spike on this high reading of 2443. That's higher than we normally see there. On the Met-Op-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1896, and in the afternoon it was 1896, and we've got a high reading of 2382, so another spike there. And so here's our weekly chart for just the Met-Op-C satellite for 487 millibar reading. And the 23rd averaged out to be 1896.0, and that's a decrease over the week before of 2.5. So we went down this level, 2.5 this week. And I'm thinking this is just a little dip, but I don't think we've peaked out with methane yet. Usually, well, it's typical for us to have a little dip around the end of September, and then it goes back up, and then we peak out really in October, like around the 20th. But I don't know what's going to happen this year. Everything's up for grabs. So let's see what happened here this week. So we ended, in our show last week, we ended at 1898.5, and we'd gone up 2 parts per billion last week. Then the 17th, we went down 1.0, 18th up 0.5, 19th no change, 20th down 0.5, 21st down 1.0, 22nd down 1.5, and 23rd up 1.0. So we had 4 days of it going down, 2 days of it going up, and 1 day of no change. So ending at a decrease of 2.5 for this week. And then for the full reading on 487 millibar for Met-Ops-B and C satellites, the 23rd average was 1912.25, and that was a decrease of 2.75 this week, so another decrease. Is it going down there? And then on 1,000 millibar, the 23rd averaged out to be 1848.25, giving us a slight increase this week of 0.25 right here. So that's at surface level. 1,000 millibar is considered surface level. So when we see an increase at the surface level, then the increase in the higher levels comes after that. So it's typical to have a decrease at one level and increase at another level, because methane is just moving around so fast. So there's that. And now we'll look at the CAMS methane data. This is from the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services website out of the EU. And our base time and valid time are both for Saturday the 23rd. Arctic area and surface level is where we're starting. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast period is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we're still seeing some bubbling here at Komsomolets. We're also seeing here in northern Russia, next to the Laptev Sea, we're seeing high readings, and see in the forecast period, see they're moving out across the Laptev Sea there. So see with the yellow and orange and a little bit of reddish there, and then higher readings in the interior. Now this has gone down. This is not nearly as filled up with high readings as we had seen. Same with the Scandinavian area. Remember, at one point it was just a big black blob like what we see in China, but that's gone way down. I'm not saying it's not high, but that's gone way down. And see, we've got it streaming over the coastline here in the orangey color. Now Alaska is filled up in the southern part, see. So there's a lot of permafrost they have there, and it's at the end of the summer. They've had heating all summer long with lots of rain and melting and stuff and thawing out, and so it's typical to see it high at the end of the summer season there in Alaska. Here in Canada, we still have some on the west side, and here, big, huge blobs around the Hudson Bay area. And then in the U.S., there's North Dakota. See, this interior has filled up. See, it's filling back up from the higher temperatures and also the rain, and also on the east coast with the rains. And Florida's kind of always filled up. It's kind of the nature, because it's always warm, it's swampy, it's densely populated, so all of those factors play into super high methane. And then the waves moving out, see. So there's that. Then we'll go to the North Pole. And see, Germany, you're filled up. And see, Spain and Portugal is getting some. Persian Gulf is filled up, and see how it's spilling over into mainly Saudi Arabia. India, it's gone down. It's not as filled up as we've seen at other times. China, it's filling back up. And these waves that are moving out, see, they're light yellow-green, see, rather than the dark green, so those are higher, higher waves moving out across the ocean. So there's that. Then we'll go to the global view. And see, we're seeing this lower reading, the darker blue, that denotes 1840 parts per billion, rather than the lighter blue at 1860. So we're seeing more of the darker blue. That's typical when we see a drop in methane. We see these background colors changing in the southern hemisphere. It's easy to see the shift down here where it's not that much going on, where it's harder to see the overall shifts in the northern hemisphere. Okay, now we'll take a peek at 500 HPA. And see all these reds, how far south they're coming. Australia, down here in the Indian Ocean, Africa, and the heavy, see, it's kind of gathering, moving back up towards the north now. And then total column. And see, it's solid from Japan all the way east, China, India, over to Africa, and then here's a big blob in the West Pacific. This corresponds to the sea surface temperature anomaly with the evil mouth. And here's another spot kind of in the mid-North Pacific that's the highest, and then all these reds and oranges really high. So there's that. I want to just go over a couple more things from CAMS. Here's sulfur dioxide today, and we've been seeing heavy sulfur dioxide here off the west coast of the US and Canada. I'm thinking some of it is from plate movement, with the Juan de Fuca plate moving. Some of this is from the Kilauea volcano going off. This is from Popocatépetl in Mexico, and we've had some releases here in the southern hemisphere, see, pretty much over a plate line, so I'm thinking plate movement. Now look at this red over eastern Australia. What's that about? That's kind of unusual. And here's the 500 HPA view, and see like here where it's jumped up, this is from plate movement. This is right over the Antarctic plate line. And same thing here in the Indian Ocean. We had quite a bit release here in the South Pacific. And see it's streaming now over the Antarctic. This is unusual to see it that high over the Antarctic. And then here it is from Popo at 500 HPA. That's the blast of the volcano. And these are all leftovers where it's still hanging around at 500 HPA. So here's the ozone hole today over the Antarctic. It's still covering the majority of the continent. The east side is just barely out of the danger zone. Earlier this week, this was reaching up to South America, and this blob kind of rotates around in a clockwise fashion. And we're down. Let's see if it went down into black. Yeah, we've got a little shade of black here. That's the lowest reading we can get, which is 100 to 125 Dobson units. Anything below that will show up as white because it'll go below their scale that they measure, that they register. So this is very severe. And the sun's coming up. It's almost all up down there and starting to heat up now. So as it heats up, then this hole will diminish. This hole will go away. But you know, after all winter long of the cold, this hole reforms over the Antarctic. But this is terrible. Down 4 layers in the danger zone. And here's the Arctic ozone. And we can see the aqua hole over western Greenland and the Baffin Bay and part of Canada here. Then all these greens. Anything in a green tinge, green to blue, or below that, is considered thin. The solid yellow, like this color up here, that's 300 Dobson units, and that's an average, what's considered average or a good reading. And then it goes up to orange and red from there. Here's the global view. Look at this at the bottom. That's terrible. Then we've got some thicker ozone outside of that hole where it gathers. But look at this. This around these equatorial regions, about 30 degrees north and south, it's a perpetual hole around the middle of the planet. It's year-round perpetual hole. In the greens there. Here's the fire, the smoke from the fires for today. Here it is, Africa. See, they've got some new smoke here in South Africa. Here's South America, and then here's Canada. See that the fires are still burning there, and then we've got some in the western part of the U.S. We've had a very mild fire season this year here in the U.S. which I was very grateful for. But poor Canada, look at this, and it's see, it's reaching up over the archipelago, over into the Baffin Bay here, also streaming out into the Atlantic. And then we've got, here's smoke. This is from southwest Oregon, and then up and across, and northern California. But not much. I mean, hardly any in the U.S. now. And we saw that. So that's all of those. So now I'm going to take a short break and we'll move into the sea ice portion of our show. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and now we'll move into the sea ice portion of our report. And we're starting with the slideshow. These are images that I save from Climate Reanalyzer every day. And this is sea ice concentration and snow cover for today. And we'll zoom in here. And here's what it looks like right now. The Baffin Bay is pretty much open. There's just a little bit of fringe ice sticking out here. This ice just kind of north and north of the North Pole. This had been collapsing. I think it's kind of like refreezing, maybe a little bit. I'm not really seeing a growth on an extent. I can't really tell yet, but maybe some thickening, we'll see. But all of this is open. See, all of your coastlines around Russia, Alaska, and this part of Canada, it's all open. And see, East Siberian Sea, Laptev Sea, Kara Sea is open, Barents Sea is open, Svalbard is clear, and we still have, it looks like some ice coming up to Franz Josef Land and coming up to Severnaya Zemlya. But see, that had started melting later in the season here. So let's see what happened this week. Here we were last Sunday. You can see it was a lot thinner up here on this northern part. So we'll just click through. So here's Sunday, Monday. Now you can see the snow coming in on land. That is changing. Tuesday, and it's snowing some on the ice too. Wednesday, Thursday, there's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So some of this may just be snow gathering on the ice rather than a regrowth because this water is really warm. I think it's just too warm for it to have too much for regrowth yet. So there's that. And then looking at the Navy, U.S. Navy model, their latest data is for the 22nd, which was Friday. And this is Arctic sea ice thickness. Here's our scale on the right. And so what we've got left here, our thicker ice is just above Greenland and really Ellesmere Island right here. See, the bright aqua is just a line here, and then here we've got a little bit of green. That's 3 meters thick, and the bright aqua is 2 to 2.5 meters thick. We're starting to see a little bit of red along this Greenland coastline. I'm thinking it's ice drift pushing the ice up against the coastline and making it pile up a little thicker. And see, we still have the darker aqua here, and the North Pole is not in blue anymore. It's in kind of mid-purple range, which is about, let's see, mid-purple, about 1/2 meter thick. But we saw in the article last week about polar stern going to the North Pole, there was a lot of open water up there. So that was quite eye-opening for me. And here's the Beaufort Sea, and anything that's like in white, I mean, that's just not even there really. Just a little film maybe. See all the whites here, wherever you see the white coming through, there's a lot of open water there. The ice is poor, not very thick, not well put together, and so on. So here's the 30-day animation, and this was updated to the 22nd, so the forecast goes out to the 29th, which is Friday. And yeah, this is the last week in September coming up, and next Sunday will be October 1st, so hard to believe we're just zipping through this year. So we're officially in fall now. The fall equinox happened on the 23rd. So yesterday it happened. So here's what they're forecasting to happen this week. Well, we might see a little bit of regrowth here on this east side of Greenland, but some of this is ice exiting here through this Fram Strait. See, it likes to flow down. It looks like we're still breaking up. Here, see this aqua? It looks like it's still going through a breakup phase. Let's see. Okay, here we are at the end of the model, so next Friday, and we can see darker coming in, and see the bright aqua is kind of breaking up. And I'll just change up here. Okay, here's the Beaufort Sea ice thickness. This is from the 20th, which was Wednesday. That's their latest data. And see, this is just barely their ice. So not much at all there. And the 30-day animation, and the forecast goes out to the 28th, which is, let's see, Thursday. So yeah, they're showing this continuing to melt. See, look, they took away the little frame that they had. So this is the new model now, I guess. Here's the Antarctic sea ice thickness with the refreeze. And I think they peaked, and it's going down. I mean, they've already started melting down there on the extent. So see the white here next to the Ross ice shelf. So that's open water here in the Ross Sea. Same thing here on this east coast. And here's the aqua and the Weddell Sea there. A few aquas. And the 30-day animation, and this forecast goes out to the 29th, which is Friday. Yeah, it's diminishing here on this west side. You can see it. See where it's out further, and it's already diminishing on this west side. We don't have much of a buffer on this east side either. See, this is melting too on the east side. So this is not boding well for the Antarctic. Here's the Ross Sea ice thickness. So the Ross ice shelf is down here, and you can see the white and the light lavender where it's so thin and open. This is quite thin out here. Here's our thicker ice around the coastlines, and see it's moving in from the right side here too. So this is for the 20th, and forecast goes out to the 28th, so Thursday. And it's not thickening, it's just kind of holding. See, actually it looks like it's thinning out a little bit here. Here's the thicker ice is moving in from the coastline on the right side here. Okay, here's National Snow and Ice Data Center for yesterday. This is Arctic sea ice concentration. We're well under the brown line, which is the median. All this blue, I mean, we're still melting. It's not very concentrated See, and here's some white spots. That's the most concentrated, wherever you see the white spots. And here's the extent chart. This is for yesterday, the 23rd. And we've been following this blue line. Here's 2012. We're still a little bit above 2012. Here it was angling down. It looks like it hit bottom right around here, which would have been around the 20th, it looks to me. And then it started angled up a tiny bit. Is it going to keep going up? I don't know. Could it go down? Yes, it could go down. We could meet up with 2012 in short order, because if our refreeze doesn't happen good, you know, we could definitely meet up with 2012 and be below, like we had been in the past on the refreeze. So we're just above 4 million square kilometers, just above it here. So no blue ocean event. Blue ocean event is 1 million square kilometers on the extent, but you know, they count everything for extent, so it's a little misleading. So here's the Antarctic for yesterday. And look at this. Here's the refreeze. This is pathetic. This is this year. There's last year. And there's the median. And yeah, we're definitely record low this year all the way along. And it looks like we peaked out back here around September 1st or 2nd, and it's already going down. Let's see. So that's not good. Here's where we peaked out last year, around the 20th. So we peaked out earlier this year and lower. Here's the Greenland ice melt. This is for yesterday. It's just got a few spots up here on the north side. It's been snowing up here, and the snow, a lot of times it'll be a humid air mixed in with it that can cause melting on the ice there. So a few spots of melting on the north side. Here are the cumulative melt days for this year. And see, we did get into the black here, right here at that little X on the north side, which is like, I don't know, 95 to 100 degrees days of melt or more. So right there. And then we got some pretty high numbers on this west side, moving into the dark purple, 90 days of melt. And these white areas, that's the only areas that did not have some kind of melting this season. So we have a lot of melting on this southwest side. See, the majority of it was down here, and on the north side. Here's our extent chart, and we're right here with the median pretty much bottoming out. So they'll stop measure or reporting on the Greenland situation for the winter. They'll stop soon once we hit October. Then they'll pick back up next spring if we're still here. But look at all this melting. 50%, look at all these days at 50%. And here's a late season spike at about 45%. So I had a lot of melting this year. That's all of those. Now, here we are on NASA Worldview. This black circle is where it's dark, gone dark in the North Pole, with the sun setting. So the sun is at a very low angle now. And sometimes with it at that lower angle, it's easier for us to see the sea ice because there's not as much of a reflection. So we'll turn on sea ice concentration model and take away the clouds. And here's where we are right now. So we still got holes, pretty big holes on this north side here, and developing big holes here just west of Severina Zemlya. And here on this west side too. So let's see what happened this week. Here we were last Sunday, so we had bigger holes last week, so it looks like it's starting to at least fill in or something a little bit there. So there's the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st. See, it's starting to not look so bad here on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and here today. See, these holes are kind of filling in. I don't know, maybe the ice is being pushed together with the ice drift. It could be that. But we're still got that collapse there. Okay, and now let's see what we can see from the satellite view. Starting here at Greenland. So here's the ice just north of Greenland. Let's see this big crack there. Here's the whole east of Greenland. Here's the ice on the east side, and this is a little bit of refreeze happening here. See the fringe coming down. That's new. And it's kind of hard to see here, but you can see the cracks, the leads there. And this is the snow. This is snowstorm up here. So pretty cloudy. So the last good day to look at the ice was here on the 20th. Which was, what was that, Wednesday? So here's the nearest strait on the 20th. See the open water there. Lots of open water, looking through clouds here. See the ice pieces. So it was still really melting, coming apart there on the 20th. Can't really see much there. So too cloudy to really see much there now. Let's go on this east side. Here's Svalbard. See, that's open. And the ice edge is right here. Right here. See? There it is. There's the ice. That's the east side. And you can see the condition, how much it's broken up, and there's some big pieces and a lot of small ones, a lot of open water there. See, same thing here. As we go up, same thing here. Same thing here, see. So that takes us up to the north side of the ice. Let's go back. Here's Franz Josef Land. And that looks open to me. So, this is the ice edge here. See, there's the ice. And then, here's Novaya Zemlya. It's open. Kara Sea is open. There's the Yamal Peninsula. All this is open. Here's Severnaya Zemlya. Here is, wow, look at this. Here's the Vovolov ice cap. You can see it's racing into the ocean there still. All summer. It's been racing, racing, racing. I wonder when it's going to run out. Here's Komsomolets. And this is pretty much open around here. So here's the ice here. Ice edge. And we've got ice here on the west side. A little bit. Here's the ice. See? Here's the Taimyr Peninsula. Here's the Laptev Sea, that's open. Here's New Siberian Islands. East Siberian Sea, that's open. All that's open. Here's the North Ice Edge. See, that's all broken up. There's the ice there. That's open. This is all open. There's the Bering Strait. This is the Chukchi Sea, that's open. Here's the Beaufort Sea, that's open. Here's Barrow, Alaska. And then here's Canada down here. And there's the ice that's just sticking out right down here. There's some ice there. Let's go back, see what we can see. This is yesterday. So see, this is open around these islands. Look at how that's all broken up. And this is some of the thicker ice. See, that's all broken up. Same down here. Look at this. See, it's open around the coastline. You can see there. And here's Ellesmere Island. And it's just hard to see much. See the leads here, the cracks. See, as you go north, you can still see all the cracks there. Here it is today. A lot more clouds. Here's the 22nd. Can we see anything? Not really. Here's the lead, see? So here's the Lincoln Sea. Here it was on the 22nd. See all the cracks? This could be refreezing a little bit. This is an area where they've got some colder air, at least. So, I think that's... Well, let's look at these tributaries. See, these are open. Open. And here's smoke. See the brown? That's the smoke from the wildfires coming up here to the Baffin Bay and over Greenland. See the brown there. And over here too, there's smoke. So here's Greenland after their big melting. Alright, now let's hop to the Antarctic. And See, this is where the sun is coming up. See, it's almost all the way up. Just this little bit around the South Pole is still in the dark. So, I want to start over here at Pine Island Glacier and Thwaites Glacier. And this is quite shocking today to see this. We're going to have to backtrack a little bit. But right here is the Thwaites Glacier. It's under a cloud. But the tongue has already started just breaking up and disintegrating. See all these pieces? Look at that. I mean, it's just, the sun is just now coming up. They're just heading into their spring. And look at this. And this open water here. And down here, this is open. And then up here, it's Pine Island Glacier. This is open here. And this ice is all cracked up. I'll show you. If we go back, let's see. So here on the 21st, even though we're looking through a cloud, you can see these pieces of ice here, and this is open here on the left. But see the condition? That's all broken up. That had been frozen. And there's Thwaites, and then here's the 22nd. You can see the big crack there on the 22nd. '23rd, you can still see it. See the big crack there. And the ice was more intact here on the 23rd. But look at this. Here it is today. I mean, this is just, it's unbelievable how fast this is going. See? I guess because we didn't have a good picture to begin with. See, these were a bunch of pieces, but it's still shocking to see. Now see, it was more frozen here on the 17th, so last Sunday, and then look, it starts breaking up. See all the breakup there? And here's yesterday. Look at that. So something's going on down here, and here it is today. So that's not good. And then coming up here, here's the Weddell Sea, here's the Western Peninsula, and this area is where the aqua ice is, the thicker ice. So here's the 22nd. And see, the ice comes out here. But I mean, it's melting. These edges are starting to melt. And here's the Brunt Ice Shelf. This is where it broke off last year. you can see the hole there. And this is where it refroze. Same thing up here. And see, there's open water there. Cracks there. And then here's the north side. See, open. A lot of open water right up at the coastline. I guess because it's warmer there. I don't know why. It's not like they've got warm rivers running into the ocean. Here's the east side. Here's the angry ice shelf. Here we go. Here's a good view. This is pretty much cloud free as far as I can tell. And see, it's open right around the coast there, or the ice edge, and then this is thin ice here. But why didn't it refreeze more during the winter? I mean, it just makes you wonder. Look at this. This is open with just pieces here. Here's the east side. Look at all this open water. And this east edge, there's just not much ice here. Not much at all, just right here. Okay, here's the Totem Glacier. There's a cloud. So here it was yesterday. Here's the tongue. And this open water looks like a little refreeze is happening there. Oh, that's a good view. Here's the 21st. It was Thursday. See, and again, why is this so thin and open around the coastlines? Unless it was just too warm for it to refreeze. And why is that? All winter long. See, open there. Oh, I'm lost. Oh, here we go. Okay, here's the Ross Sea. So there's the sea ice out here. And then here is the Ross Ice Shelf. And here's Ross Island in Mount Erebus. And there's the shadow of the volcano there. Another shadow. See, this is open around here. Right around the coast. And just wispy thin ice there. That's a clearer view. This is yesterday. See. And this is McMurdo Research Station. I'm thinking this shadow is like a tower, maybe a tower or something. Communications tower, maybe. These are shadows, all shadows. There's the ice. See, it's pretty thin. And back to the southwest. And then here, with all this melting going on, that's very frightening to me. If we've already got it looking like this, and it's like the second day of fall, spring down there, that's not good before it really even starts melting. So there's that. Okay, let's see what our earthquakes look like this week. So there were 243 in the last 24 hours. That's kind of an uptick from what we've had in the last couple of days. Here's a 5.0 in the Aleutian Islands, 5.1 Indonesia, and then all these 4s, mainly 4s and 5s. I'm not seeing any huge ones. So let's see where these clusters are. 114, Alaska. That's kind of a higher number than we normally see. And this area has been clustering for a while at Karluk. They're 30 right here. So that accounts for 30 of the 114. And let's look at Hawaii. Only 8, and they're down here at Pahala, and mainly Pahala, and the flank of Kilauea. Let's see. Okay, here in the U.S., 94. That's kind of an average, low average number. And we've got not much. Let's see, 2.5 magnitude or higher. 3.2, that's in West Texas. That was the biggest one. Oh no, 3.7 at Velma, Oklahoma. That was the biggest one there. So that's kind of not that much here. So I'm guessing it was Alaska that had those higher numbers. So let's look at all magnitudes for the week. 7 days, all magnitudes. Okay, there were 1,793 worldwide. We had one just off the coast of Greenland, right here. 4.7 at eastern Greenland. That happened on the 21st. 5.1, Tradozio, Italy. Look at this. This is unusual. 4.6 at Rudna, Poland, or Rudna. Let's see where the bigger ones were. We saw that one. Okay, there was a 6.3 just off the northeast coast of Taiwan. The reporting station was Harara, Japan. This happened on the 18th. Let's see. Here's Taiwan. And so this was in the ocean, so no damage done. No tsunami. And it was 183 kilometers deep. So that was a big one. And then 5s and 4s there. Then down here, Vanuatu, there was a 6.1. Near Sola, Vanuatu, 188 kilometers deep. This came in on the 21st as well. Yeah, see, right there. Whole cluster there. And then, oh, New Zealand. You had 5.6 near Methane, New Zealand, on land on the southern island. That happened on the 19th. I bet y'all felt that. And then here in the Pacific, 6.0 Central East Pacific rise. And there were 2 more right there, right on the red line. So, you know, a lot of plate movement is what we're seeing. And then here on the Juan de Fuca plate, well, just north of the Juan de Fuca plate was a 3.4 at 0 depth, no depth registered there, and it's in the ocean. So that happened yesterday. I don't know what to make of that. Here's a 3.0 on the Juan de Fuca plate, and then at the base of the Juan de Fuca plate, and here over to California, this is all kind of a cluster of some small ones there. This is the fulcrum point, and Lake Tahoe had a cluster this week. Look at this, 36 on the northwest side of Lake Tahoe. 36, that's a lot. And this is from the 17th. It started with a 3.2 on the 17th, which was last Sunday. And then kept going. There was a 2.5 on the 18th. The others were smaller than that. Had some microquakes, and see, they got a little smaller. And then look, a 2.2 at Tahoe Vista. That came in on the 18th. So 17th and 18th, 36 right there. So there's that. So also in California we had quite a few clusters, 18 here in the Cupertino area. This is just just south of San Francisco Bay. 2.9 was the largest there. And see 2.7 Allen Rock. And then look at this area. There were 34 in this Patterson, Wheatley, Wesley and Patterson area. Here was a 3.3 on the 23rd, 1.8 kilometers deep. Here was a 1.6 on the 24th at a negative 0.4 kilometer deep. So these are shallow and some at negative depth, so this is showing that magma is rising. So mainly twos. There was the biggest was this 4.5 that happened on the 18th at 3.5 kilometers deep near Wesley. And so see it, and 4.4 too on the 18th. So at 0.1 kilometer depth, so it all started on the 18th. So that was unusual. So we had quite a few of those, or a few of those clusterings like that. And that's about it, I think. So that's my report for tonight. And now I'd like to bring everything back to a spiritual perspective as we close out the show here. Continuing to read out of the book of Tobit, which is the first book of the Apocrypha. These were the books that were considered to be included in the Bible but didn't make it in. Tobit chapter 8. And when they had supped, they brought Tobias in unto her. And as he went, he remembered the words of Raphael, and took the ashes of the perfumes, and put the heart and the liver of the fish thereupon, and made a smoke therewith. The which smell, when the evil spirit had smelled, he fled into the utmost parts of Egypt, and the angel bound him. And after that they were both shut in together. Tobias rose out of the bed and said, Sister, arise, and let us pray that God would have pity on us. Then began Tobias to say, Blessed art thou, O God of our fathers, and blessed is thy holy and glorious name forever. Let the heavens bless thee and all thy creatures. Thou madest Adam, and gavest him Eve his wife for an helper and stay. And then of them came mankind. Thou hast said, It is not good that man should be alone. Let us make unto him an aid like unto himself. And now, O Lord, I take not this my sister for lust, but uprightly. Therefore mercifully ordain that we may become aged together. And she said with him, Amen. So they slept both that night, And Raguel arose and went and made a grave, saying, I fear lest he also be dead. But when Raguel was come into his house, he said unto his wife Edna, Send one of the maids, and let her see whether he be alive. If he be not, that we may bury him, and no man know it. So the maid opened the door and went in, and found them both asleep, and came forth and told them that he was alive. Then Raguel praised God, and said, O God, thou art worthy to be praised with all pure and holy praise. Therefore let thy saints praise thee with all thy creatures, and let all thine angels and thine elect praise thee forever. Thou art to be praised, for thou hast made me joyful, and that is not come to me which I suspected, but thou hast dealt with us according to thy great mercy. Thou art to be praised, because thou hast made mercy of two that were the only begotten children of their fathers. Grant them mercy, O Lord, and finish their life in health with joy and mercy. Then Raguel bade his servants to fill the grave, and he kept the wedding feast 14 days. For before the days of the marriage were finished, Raguel had said unto him by an oath that he should not depart till the 14 days of the marriage were expired, and then he should take the half of his goods and go in safety to his father, and should have the rest when I and my wife be dead. Tobit chapter 8. So that all worked out for them, so that was a blessing. So, we're in the end times. Things are just so unpredictable, but we know that things are disintegrating. Everything is collapsing, from the climate to the weather to the economy to society. It's all wrapping up, and as we go through these stages of it, we have to adjust. We'll have to adjust what we can do physically. As things wind down, our bodies will be winding down too. It'll be harder for us to be here, but if we pray and ask for God and Jesus to help us, if we repent of our sins and live the straight and narrow, things will be better, and you will have God's protection and guidance, at least, and the Holy Spirit discernment, so that you can discern what's true and what's not true. All of that's very important. And also, this will keep you from being sucked up by Satan at the very end too. So it's all about being saved, and where are you going? Where's your eternal soul going when it comes right down to it? Where are you going? Do you know? If you don't, you need to do some soul searching on that. So if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I recommend it before it's too late. So I love you all, and I'm praying for you. God willing, I'll be back next Sunday to do another show so we can see what's happened. So I hope everyone has as good a week as possible. God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.